Okay, as we welcome in Aaron Swade, Mami and Saba, Barish Gesserman, Irving Fishbaum, A.B. Spry, Yitzi Muller, Yisrael Fisher from Tannersville, Eddie Chazan, Moshe Lehman, Chaim Braun, Ilya Shutman, David Helfgott on Kol Lashon. We are holding at the new Mishnah on the top of Nun Beis Amud Aleph. New Mishnah, the top of Nun Beis Amud Aleph, and we learn, sponsored by A.B. Spry with the Tefillah, that all children that are needing to get into yeshiva, the parents should succeed in a pleasant way of neimus, without heartache for them or for the children. Welcome in Mel Zachter coming to join us. And, okay. Yisaimim shesamchu eitzel balabayis. Even if it wasn't a formal arrangement, just orphans who are being supported by a kindly family. Or the father appointed formally for them a guardian, an executor. Before giving them to eat, he has to take off trumas hamaisis from their fruits. Apitropis that was appointed by the father of the Yisaimim, when the Yisaimim become of age, Yeshava, they have to swear that they didn't misappropriate any funds. Now this is because, why did they do it? Obviously they did it because the father must have done him a favor, and therefore they won't be dissuaded from taking the position because they have to swear. However, Mino Bezdin, but if as strangers they were appointed by Bezdin, Lo Yeshava, they don't swear, because if they would have to swear, they won't take the job. Abishol says just the opposite, completely the opposite. Abishol says that in the case where he is appointed by Bezdin, that's a very big mark of approval that will stand him in good stead in business, that Bezdin considers him a man of integrity. And therefore, he'll take it even if he has to swear. But a private person asked by the father if he's going to have to swear, he won't take the job, and therefore we don't make him swear. As we welcome in Dr. Guy Michal, I'm glad that Rabbi Kranz managed to get on. And Stephen Holtzman has just joined us. Okay, we're beginning to have a semblance of a share here now. I mean, every one person is a semblance of a share, but I was wondering where everybody disappeared to. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvaro. Nachman Chapler has just joined us. If you're just joining us in progress, we are at the Gemara on Nun Beis Amud Aleph, 5 lines from the top. So the Gemara says that the apotropos, as we welcome in Abe Arbach, the Gemara says that the apotropos has to take off trumas hamaisos. So right away the Gemara says we learned not that way. Verminu, there's a contradiction. It says in the pasuk about truma, atem, you, v'lo shutfin, one partner cannot take off truma for his partner's property. Atem v'lo arisin, a sharecropper cannot take off truma for the landowner's property. Atem v'lo apotropin, you and not a guardian. And also, you cannot take off truma from something that is not yours if you weren't given a shlichus to do so. So here you see that an apotropos doesn't take off trumas hamaisos. So Amar Rav Chisda, as we welcome in Shelley, Amar Rav Chisda loy kasha, kan lahachal, kan lahaniach. If he's giving the Yisaimim to eat, then he takes off trumas hamaisos. If he's doing it in order to put it in the silo, so then he doesn't take off trumas hamaisos. He only takes it off when he's giving them to eat. Tanya, and this Vatanya is read b'nichusa, as Rashi says. It's not a kasha v'Vatanya, but rather a proof. Vatanya we learned likewise in a brayso, apotropin, term in a ma'asim, they take off truma ma'isa lahachil, if it's in order to give Yisayim to eat, because they don't want to feed them tevel, a davar aser, but v'lei lahaniach, but not when they're just putting it in the silo. Now, what is the license of the executor to be able to sell the property of the orphans? They could sell their animals, servants, maidservants, bottom houses, sodas, fields, ukramim, and vineyards, lahachil, if they need the money to support the Yisayim, to feed them, to buy them clothing. But not to put in the bank. They could sell their fruit, their wine, their oil, the siltus, their flour, again lahachil, to raise money, to take care of their needs. But not just to save. And the apotropos can use their money to provide for them a lulav on sukkahs and arava, sukkah and tzitzis, v'kol davar sheyesh lo kitzmo, anything that has a fixed amount, la'asiyah shayfer, to provide for them a shayfer. V'lo kalam sefer Torah, in order that they could learn from tefillin or mezuzahs, tefillin and mezuzahs for their house, v'kol davar sheyesh lo kitzmo, and any mitzvah that is a fixed amount. We'll see that they can't give tzedakah from the assignment, because tzedakah could be 100 people, and it could deplenish all of their money. That now, what we say that anything that has a fixed amount, L'asiyah Megillah, we buy for them a kosher Megillah. The ain paiskin aleim tzedakah, they can't, however, pledge tzedakah on their behalf. The ain paidin aleim asashvim, they can't use their money to redeem captives, because again, that's open-ended. There could be 30 captives and eat them out of house and home. And also nothing else that doesn't have a fixed amount. They don't take money from the orphans to bring food for this oval and that oval, because it could be ein l'davar seif. The apotropos cannot litigate for them l'chayv, if it could be detrimental, or even l'schus, or even for their betterment. In the estate of the Yisayim. So the Gemara says, l'schus, if it's for the betterment, why can't they engage in litigation? As Rashi explains, they could get involved in litigation on behalf of the assignment where they think it's for their benefit, but if it turns out to be to their detriment, we void the din, and we wait till the assignment grow up. B'nichsei assignment. They can't even sell their real estate that's far from them in order to get real estate closer to them, even though that sounds like it's a good deal. But they can't sell bad land, ligo, be offered to get good land, because they don't know, maybe the property that they buy might become swamped. My time, it might become swamped, and therefore they can't take a chance. They can't sell land to buy slaves, that's a downgrade. But they can sell slaves to buy fields. They even cannot sell servants in order to buy fields. My timer. You know why? Because the field that they might buy, there might be turn out to be stolen merchandise. It turned out that it's not smooth, and then they'll mess up the assignment. And we welcome in Mark Frankel now, 9 lines from the beginning of the wide lines on Nun Beis Amud Aleph. I think in Bela Kinwood, Shabbos ends later than in the Catskills. Right, Mark? It's a different time zone, right? There he is. He has that guilty smile on his face. Sorry,
Rabbi, I couldn't hear you. What were you saying?
I said you must be in a different time zone than us.
It's good to be here, Rabbi.
You know, with a name like Bela Kinwood, it must have a special time. Am I pronouncing that right, by the way?
It's Bala. It's a soft A, so it's Bala Kinwood, but any way you pronounce it is correct.
Oh, Balakinwood. That sounds like it's even more complicated. Anyway, good to have you, Mark. Just getting underway over here. A big job tonight, but Baruch Hashem. The Gemara now tells us, of course, the apotropos cannot free the slaves of the assignment. However, if the assignment need money, then they could sell the slave to Mark, and then Mark could free the slave. Rabbi says, if the assignment need money, then you could even sell the slave to himself. If he has the finances to give his own value, you could give the money to the slave, because that's like selling to him. And if they have the license to sell because they're raising money for the assignment to eat, then that's allowed. And we welcome in Jane Atkinson, who's joining us tonight. It's great to have you and join our Zoom family. We are in progress, Nun Beis Amid Aleph, midway down the Amid. The din is that the apotropos has to give an accounting to the assignment at the end when they grow up. They don't have to give such an accounting. You cannot make an executor women, servants, or minors. However, but if the father of the assignment appointed them before he died, then he could appoint anybody. Now the Gemara tells us an interesting story, as Rabbi Kranz seems to be having trouble tonight. We welcome in back Rabbi Kranz and Dr. Block. It's good to have you. Okay, now we're getting a semblance of a crowd here. Rabbi Kranz, have you figured it out yet?
Yeah, now at least I can't get the camera to work. Only the microphone I got to work. All right, I'll be quiet now. At least I can talk over here.
Well, Rabbi Kranz, it's good to have your voice. Anyway, so the Gemara now tells us a story with Reb Meir. Actually, it's going to tell us two stories. One is a very famous story. There was an executor in the neighborhood of Reb Meir. He was selling land and buying servants. Now, we said you're not allowed to do that because land is more stable than servants, which could get sick and die, and therefore, Reb Meir didn't let the executor do this. So Reb Meir was shown in a dream, I want to destroy, I want to harm the property of the assignment, and you're coming to build it? What are you doing? But Reb Meir didn't pay regard to the dream. He did what the halach is. He didn't listen to the dream. We don't pay attention to dreams, neither for the good, neither for the bad. Now here, this is a very famous Gemara. Hanobei trade, there was a couple, the Igre B'hu Sutton, that the Sutton was inciting them to fight. The Kolbei Shimshei, every Friday afternoon, have a kaminse ba'adi adodi. They got into a fight. Why didn't you make the kugel? Where's my socks? Why is the house so dirty? Why don't you pick up your finger and help? Ikar Rameir Lahasim, Rameir visited their house, and Akvinu Tlosa Beishimshe, and he stayed there for 3 Fridays. Of course, with Rameir there, they were on best behavior, and they developed the chazaka to behave on Friday. Until he showed them how to behave on Friday. Shamrei de Kamer, and he heard a voice, Vai da apke Rameir lahu gavra mebese. Woe that Rameir kicked me out of the house. In other words, the Sutton was kicked out of the house. Now the idea over here, as we welcome in Sandy Grunfeld, the idea over here is, as the Ben Ish Chai says, from the time that Adam Arishan sinned on the 10th hour on Friday, 2 hours before Shabbos, and the result is that Adam and Chava was separated for 130 years. The Sutton was given a koyach to cause friction between a husband and a wife, and Rabbi Fran says famously that if you get upset about something on Friday with your spouse, you should say to yourself, I'm only getting upset because it's Erev Shabbos. The Ben Ish Chai adds another caveat. He says that since Friday night is a special time between husband and wife, a Zman Oina, therefore the Satan is already trying to destroy the mood of this great mitzvah which brings Shechina by causing fighting on Erev Shabbos. So forewarned is forearmed. Apotropos, there was a guardian that Rabbi Shubban Levi that was in the neighborhood of Rabbi Shubban Levi. Kamazvin Arav Zovin Turi. He was selling their land and buying oxen. And Rabbi Shubban Levi did not stop him. Now we would think land is more stable than oxen. So the Gemara says, well, Savalak Rabbi Yaisi, Rabbi Shubban Levi holds like Rabbi Yaisi. The Tanya Amar Rabbi Yaisi, Miyomai loy karisi ishti. I never called my wife, or l'shayri, my ox, el ishti basi. I called my wife my house. Because the success and the aura of my home is because of my wife. And l'shayri sadai. And I called my ox my field. Because success in the field is only if you have a good team of oxen. So therefore he held that ox is on the same level as a shar, and therefore you could sell a field in order to buy shvarim for another field. The idea, by the way, of calling a wife a house is to remember, for example, the Gemara tells us in Bava Metzia, Ein bracha metzuya b'seich beisei shel adam ela b'shvil ishtay. Blessing is found in the house of a person only because of his wife. Shenema v'Avram heitiv ba'avura. So a person should always recognize that the hatzlacha of his home, he thinks, oh, look at this beautiful home, look at the mortgage I pay, I pay all the bills. Person should recognize that the aura of the home comes from the woman. Chachmais nashim bon sabaisa. The Gemara tells us, Hano Yasme Davismiche Gabeahi Safta. There were certain orphans that were supported by a older woman. Havalu Toirasa, they had an axe. Shakla, she took it, Vizavinta Nehilayu, and she sold it for them. Also Kroivim Lakamid Rav Nachman, so the relatives came before Rav Nachman. Amrulei Maya Vidita Dezavna. Who is she that she's selling the property of the orphans? Who does she think she is? Amalahu, he says, well, it's a Beferish Mishnah. Yisaimim Shesamku Eitzel Balabayas Tanan. If she's their main support, so she could sell it for them for their needs. Says the Gemara of Yakar, but after she sold it, the axe went up in value. So he said, well, that happens. So it went up in value by the buyer. There's nothing you can do. That's business. But she said, but the relatives said, but they didn't get paid for it. She didn't get paid for it. The buyer just said that they'll owe the money. Oh, that's different. That Rav Nachman says is different. Im Kain, Hainu de Rav Chaniloi Baridi. That's the din of Rav Chaniloi Baridi. Rav Chaniloi Baridi Amashmol. Rav Chaniloi Baridi Amashmol. Nichse Yesaimim. Shosh, if you could put on the air conditioner, I'm dripping sweat. Nichse Yesaimim, the estate of orphans, Harihen Kehektish. Estate of orphans is like hektish. We upgrade it to hektish. And the deal is not sealed except with money. Now, in this way, it's different than a hedyot. And by a hedyot, by a commoner, a deal is sealed with mashicha, as soon as the buyer would pull the ox. But we upgraded the assignment to give them the rights of hektish, where the deal is only sealed with money. And since the buyer did not pay, so therefore, if the price went up, they have the right to take the ox back. The Gemara tells us, Chamrei de Rav Uvna Ukfa Yasma. the wine of Ravna Ukva, the orphan, Mashchua buyers pulled it to them ba'arba for 4 zuz a barrel. However, Vayakar, the price of the wine went up, become shita and went up to 6 zuz a barrel. Also, the Kamid Rav Nachman, they came before Rav Nachman, they wanted to know if they could take the wine back because the price went up and the money was not paid yet. The buyer just did Mashicha. Amalahu, so he says, you could take it back. The estate of orphans, is like hektish. The deal is only sealed with money. The deal is only sealed with money, and therefore, since the buyer didn't pay the money yet, they could retrieve the wine back and sell it now at the better price. And now the Gemara is going to take us through the rights of the Yisayimim in different scenarios, whether Mashicha was done, whether Kesef was done without Mashicha. And remember, by a regular buyer, the Kinyan is not accomplished with Kesef, it's just accomplished with Mashicha. Here we said, at least certain times, as we'll see, we said that we upgrade the assignment that the deal is only binding when there's COD, when the purchase price, not COD, but when the purchase price is given. Let's see the Gemara inside. And if you're just joining us, we're at the 2 dots, 7 lines from the bottom of Nun Beis Amud Aleph. It's nice to have 24 Zoomers, David Helfgott, and Kol Loshin, Sandy on Facebook.
Rabbi, can I ask a question or wait?
No, we have to do 2 blot, and it's late. Mishaych Peirei Miyasmei. If, let's say, since Yisrael spoke up, let's say Yisrael wanted to buy the fruit from the assignment, and he made Mashicha on the fruit. And then Iyakar, and then the price went up. So the Yisayim wanted it back. Remember, Yisrael didn't pay, he just did the Mashicha. Says the Gemara, Hainu de Rav Chaniloi Baridi. That's the din of Rav Chaniloi Baridi, that they could, since the Kinyan was not made, since the Kinyan was not made with Kesef, so they could back out. And they could take it back from Yisrael and sell it now for the better price. Zul, let's say the price went down. So when now the price went down, Yisrael wants to be a wise guy and say, look, you're Yisayimim, it's only sealed with Kesef, since I didn't pay for it yet, I want to give it back to you. So Gemara says, no. Here we also protect the interest of the Yisayimim. It shouldn't be that the strength of a commoner should be more than Hektish, because by a commoner, Yisrael wouldn't be able to back out because he did Mashicha. So just because we upgraded the assignment to be Hektish, that doesn't mean that if the procedure would be for a commoner, the assignment should lose out. So here they could say, we want to be viewed as a commoner, and since you did Mashicha, you can't back out anymore. Amshichulu peirei liyasmei. Here, Yisrael sold peiros to the assignment, and the assignment or the executor did Mashicha, Ayaker, and the price went up. So the price went up, so Yisrael wants it back. He'll say you didn't pay Kesef. Again, lo yekayched yidcham megdish. Since by a regular buyer it would be binding because it's Mashicha, we were not going to say that Hektish is worse than a regular buyer. Zul. Now the Yisayimim pulled the peiros from Yisrael before they got a chance to pay for it. And the price went down. So now they want to back out. Now they want to back out because leave it. Yeah. Now they want to back out because now they want to back out because the price went down. So they said, look, we want to back out and give it back to you. because we didn't pay kesef. So the Gemara says, Savim, no, we would think that they have the right to do that. Hainu the Rav Chaniloi Baridi. That's Rav Chaniloi Baridi, that they could say, look, the price went down, we didn't pay money yet, we want to return it to you, and get it now at the cheap price. However, over here the Gemara says there's an overriding concern. If we would pull that shtick, it would be bad for the Yisayim. Why? The zimnim the mitzvah the pay, right? Because there'll be times where they're hungry and they need fruit, and Yisrael will say, I'm not selling it to you until you pay me cash, because otherwise you could back out if the price goes down. V'leka diyavlu, and nobody will give it to them ad diyavzuvzeh, until they pay cash. Now, we're going to speak about all the variables over here. Yov yasmei zuzeh. The assignment paid Yisrael cash. Yov yasmei zuzeh apere. However, they didn't do Mashiach. They paid cash, but they didn't do Mashiach. And now, Zul, the payments went down, so they want to say that they should be viewed like a regular buyer, that since they didn't do Mashiach, they could back out and get it now for the cheaper price. And they could do that. The power of a hedyot should not be more than hektish. And since a hedyot would be able to say, since I didn't do Mashiach, I want to back out, they could also say, I want to back out. A yaker. What about, again, they gave money, and the price went up. Oh, so the price went up. So here, Yisrael says, look, I don't want to go through the deal. I don't want to go through the deal because I could get a better price. So here we would think that the assignment could invoke, well, sorry, we gave money and we're like hektish, that acquires with hektish. So Rav Sheish Bereida Avidi also says a big chiddush over here. We're afraid to say that, because if we say that when they paid for the fruit, if we say that when they paid for the fruit before the delivery of the fruit and the price goes up, Yisrael can't back out, then Yisrael, if there's a fire while the fruit is still by Yisrael, he doesn't have to bother to put out the fire, because he says, look, you paid for it already, it's yours. That will serve badly for the assignment if we say the deal is binding once they pay for it, to asal l'meimelo, because then if there's a fire, he could tell them, nisirfu chitecha ba'aliyah, your wheat burnt in the attic, and sorry, it was yours already, even though you didn't do Mashiach, well, it's yours already because you paid kesef. And we welcome Marshall Castle, 2 lines from the top of Nun Beis Amud Beis. We welcome in Yehuda from Har Nov. Finally, in this sequence, and by the way, this scenario on the daf, this is the hardest part of tonight's daf. The rest of the 2 blot are not that hard. So just hang with it till the 2 dots over here, even before the 2 dots. If, let's say, Yisrael paid the assignment for fruit, a yaker, and the price went up. So now that the price went up, the assignment want to back out to get a better price. So since by a regular person you could back out until Mashiach is done, so even though we gave them certain privileges of hektish, but they shouldn't be any less than a regular person that could back out before Mashiach. Zul, if the price went down, so now if the price went down, Yisrael wants to back out, because he said, look, I could get a better price. and you guys didn't do Mashiach yet. Savamina, so the Gemara figures, Hainu de Rab Chaniloi Baridi, that Yisrael can't back out because since they have the rights of Hektish and money was paid by Yisrael, he can't back out. Amlu Rav Sheish Brei Ravidi Harahi Lididhu. This would be bad. Why? The Zimnim the Mitztarcha Lazuzi, there'll be times that the Yisraelim desperately need money to pay their rent. And nobody will sell to them until they find somebody to deliver the fruit. And therefore we say that if the price goes up, therefore we say if the price goes down, we do not allow the assignment we do not allow if the price goes down, we do not allow the assignment to back out and no. If the price goes down, we do allow Yisrael to back out, even though Kesef was exchanged, and if they had a din like Hektish, Yisrael couldn't back out. But we allow Yisrael to back out because otherwise we're afraid that maybe the assignment will need money, and Yisrael will say, "Listen, I'm not going to give you money until you deliver the fruit, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to back out." So therefore we allow Yisrael to back out in this case where the price goes down until Mashiach is done. Amar Rav Ashi, Ano v'Rav Kahana chasminon ashtora di'imeh. I and Rav Kahana signed a witness on a shtar of the Zira Yasma, on a sign, on a document of the mother of Zira Yasma. She was the guardian. The mizavne na'ara lekarga, she sold land for the skull tax, to raise money for the skull tax for the assignment, beloy achrasta, even though there wasn't a 30-day auction. Normally, when selling the land of Yisayimim, you have to in advance advertise the land and wait 30 days so that there should be bidders to jack up the price. Now they said we signed on the shtar of the mother of Zira Yasma, who sold land for the skull tax of the orphans without making such an auction. And the Gemara says, why? Because there are exceptions. The Imrei Nardai, because they said in Nardai, lekargo lemezayne ulekfura, to raise money for the skull tax, to raise money for food or for burial, ma'azvaninon, you could sell the property of an orphan b'lo achrasta without the customary auction of 30 days. Amram the dyer, apetropa diyasmei have. He was a guardian of orphans, and the relatives did not like him. They really suspected him of not. They suspected him of not being honest. Also, the comment of Rav Nachman, the relatives came before Rav Nachman, Amralei, and they said, he's putting on fancy clothing and fancy overcoats from the property of the assignment. Amalahus, Rav Nachman says he's within his rights, because when he dresses properly, his words will be heard, and he'll be a better ambassador for the orphans. Now that's why people make a foolish thing, and they think that why do we need our rabbi to look nice? Why do we need a rabbi to drive a nice car? Now, besides of the issue of Kavod HaTorah, person should realize that their rabbi represents them. The rabbi should drive up in a jalopy to the funeral to say a hesped for their relatives in a jalopy, making noise in the parking lot. The rabbi should drive up to a yeshiva trying to get their child into school in such a way, looking unkempt. So the rabbi, it's a kal v'chomer because of Kavod HaTorah. But even the executor of orphans, however, the relatives weren't finished. The relatives said, he's eating and drinking in fancy restaurants from their property. Why? Not that we see it, but v'loy amid, he doesn't have the money to eat in these restaurants. He must be taking the money from the assignment. So Rav Nachman says that's circumstantial evidence. Maybe he found a wallet with a lot of money. But then they said, v'hakam mafsid. But he's destroying their property. He's not taking care of their property. He's not taking care of their real estate. He's cutting down trees. Amalahu. So Nachman said that's different. I see lisadeh demifsid. Bring me proof that he's causing them loss. V'salkine, and I'll remove him. Dam Rav Huna Chavrin Mishmei Rav. Rav Huna, our colleague, said in the name of Rav, Apotropos demifsid misalkinolei. An apotropos that caused harm to the estate, we remove him. The Ibmar, it's a machloikis actually. Apotropos demafsid, Rav Huna Amarav misalkinolei, we remove him. The Bei Rebbe Shila Imre from the house of Rebbe Shila said, "Loi misalkinolei," we don't remove him because maybe although he's doing some harm, but he's doing a lot of goods. The Hilchasa misalkinolei, but at the halacha is if we find proof that he's harming them, then we remove him. Now remember, we had a machloikis in the Mishnah about at the end of his tenure, when the Yisayimim grow up, does he have to swear and give an accounting that he didn't misappropriate anything? So one opinion said if he's appointed by the father, so then he has to swear. If he's appointed by the court, he doesn't have to swear. And Abba Shaul said the other way around. So now the Gemara explains the two reasons. An apotropos that was appointed by the father of the orphans, at the end of the time when they grow up, he has to swear. Says Gemara, my time. Why? Because why would he do it? It must be that the father did him a lot of favors. If the father didn't benefit him, he wouldn't agree to do this big job. And therefore, since he's paying back the debt of the father, because he has to take an oath, that won't stop him from taking the job. However, mino bezdin, but if he's a stranger appointed by bezdin, lo yeshava, we can't ask him to swear, because milsa ba'alma of it, the beidina, he's just doing a favor. And if he's going to have to swear, he won't do the favor. If you put a shvua on him, he will come to refrain. As we welcome in Abba Steinhauser and Richard Rosenzweig. Abba Shaul says to the contrary. You see, if he's appointed by Bezdin, that's a great, great honor. Bezdin is saying that he's a reliable person, which is good for business. And therefore, he'll do it even if he has to swear. My time, we know Bezdin Yeshava. Why? From that benefit that it'll be known that he's a reliable person, that Bezdin trusts him to be an executor, the Mehemnu does Samach Beidina, so then he'll grab it even if he has to do a shvuah. Mishum shvuah lo yasin lemnuye, because he has to swear, he's not going to refrain from taking the position. However, mino avi yisayim, if the father asks him to do a favor, lo yeshava, we don't make him swear, because otherwise there's nothing in it for him. He's just doing a favor. He's doing him a favor. If you place a shvua on him, he's going to come to refrain from doing it. That the court-appointed executor has to swear, the father-appointed executor doesn't have to swear. However, Tanya Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov both have to swear. Both have to swear. Shashi? Shashi? It's extremely hot in here. Now it's on. That's right. I'm dripping sweat. Yeah. Now, Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov, and by the way, this is very important because Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov, we know, Mishnase, thank you very much. Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov, in a red cup. Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov is Mishnase Kav V'Noki. So Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov, Zev V'Zeh Yeshava. Both have to swear. The court-appointed one swears because the fact that he gets the credit, the approval of the court that he's a man of integrity, he's not going to stop because of an oath. And the private one by the father, if not that he had a reason of gratitude to the father, thank you very much, of gratitude to the father, he wouldn't stop from doing it, and therefore both have to swear, v'alocha k'dvarav. Now to end the sugya, the Gemara tells us it's worded a little bit strangely, but we'll see it means the same thing. Tani Rav Tachlifa bar Marava kamei de Rav Avo. Rav Tachlifa bar Marava said before Rav Avo, apotropos shemineu avi yisaimim, an apotropos that's appointed by the father of the yisaimim, yeshava, he has to swear, mipnei shu noisei sacher, because it's a paid watchman. Now the Gemara first thinks that this means that he's actually paid from the estate, which we wouldn't do, because that's just going to eat up the frugal estate of the assignment. And Amalei at Isis Kava, you're going to bring a kav the kailele. You're going to bring a kav and destroy it. You're going to have the executor paid all the time. That's going to eat up the property of the assignment. As we explained, the fact that he's doing it must be that he's repaying a favor that the father did for him. And therefore, since he's repaying a favor that the father did for him, he won't stop from taking the job because he has to swear. Okay, we're going to switch the camera now.